Give me just 1 second, everybody. I gotta share out something really fast. And then I'm gonna be with everybody. But I'm trying to validate it all went where I wanted it to go properly. All right. Hello, Starfleet. This is Breaking the Cage with Astrology TV and the Matrix Mind Media. This is a powerful week. And it really has so much going for it in positive ways if you know how to tap into that. But there's a big backstory that you guys do need to know in order to fully harness and understand this energy. This is Breaking the Cage for June 7th through the 13th. I will be back on Sunday to do the following weeks. And I'm doing a special episode tonight because, guys, just like the rest of you, there's just times where I'm not at my best. I'm not at my right. And there was just no way. I let Matt know. I was like, that's just not happening on Sunday night. There was no way I could bring the show to you all on Sunday night. It just wasn't happening. But now I feel like I've come full circle with some of what was going on with me, and I'm able to bring you the show for this week. So I will be back on Sunday, right before the full moon. But I am giving you all the energy leading up to this full moon. Now, before I get into everything, I want to remind everybody, I always tell everybody you can find all the information down below. I am doing some specials, so you can find that information down below if you're interested in any of my specials, as well as if you purchase any of my products and so forth on my Etsy shop at LSF Sanctuary LLC. Please, all my Starfleet, all my Matrix Minds, all of you guys, if you are purchasing something, you can get up to 20% off, not everything, but some of the stuff, if you put in the coupon code of Matrix Minds. But the trick is, to my understanding, it has to be all caps in order to get that coupon. Now, with that being said, dude, it has been a day. It has been a day. It's been, for those who, or who understand the runes, or, like people read tarot cards and stuff. I do tarot cards, oracle, but I also do runes. And that's where I started out with everything. And it's been a Dagaz kind of day. It's been a Loki kind of day. It's been that shaman, exciting, what is going on kind of day. But that brought me full circle for what I needed to know to give you guys this message right here. Now, see, you got the full moon coming in, and I'm going to go over the blueprint. I'm going to go over the astrology and what Spirit has given me. But I want to start off with helping you to understand the rest of this week and the weekend is bringing you up to the energy that you're going to see on the full moon on the 14th. I believe that's Tuesday night. I might be wrong. It might be Monday night, but it is leading us to that energy of the full moon. Now, what you may not be acknowledging as to why it's so important is that full moon is going to be a Sagittarius full moon with a void, of course, to Capricorn. However, when it hits its peak, it's just a few degrees away from the galactic center. And right there is your key. It is all about hitting that galactic center energy. What Spirit gives me is, first off, they kept giving me 82, and they gave it to me 4 times. 4 has something to do with the universal energy. The universe will have its way. The universe has a plan. It is already being directed. It is already in manifestation. And for those of you who are feeling this energy, manifestation is coming quick. But what you need to understand is a lot of that manifestation has to do with also Jupiter moving into Aries, and it did a couple weeks back. But what nobody's been talking about is Jupiter is technically in shadow. And a lot of this energy has to do with us coming into understanding. Are we really spiritually evolving and growing? Are we starting to calibrate our chakras, calibrate our energy properly? Are we really coming into alignment with what we're trying to create? Are we starting to really find the sacred within us? Are we still confused in what the sacred is within us? And can we understand, and will we know divine energy if it touched us, if we were in its presence? We're coming into understanding. Like I said, I was being given 4 times 82. This has to speak to us of understanding balance and harmony. Creates the inner peace. It brings the peace of mind, which then allows the focus to come through and be able to create the manifestation that you want, to bring it into the manifestation. By 4 is saying if you are on point, if you are in alignment here, then for 1, you're already ahead of the game. Because like I said, Jupiter is in shadow. That is manifestation, knowledge, and abundance. In shadow, which will retrograde back into the universal 12th house of Pisces next month on the 28th, my birthday. This is why I can remember this. So you are already starting to feel the higher knowledge, the abundance, but also the question of, are you really there? Or are you kind of missing the point? Spirit is saying this because I'm getting a lot of different deity, divining energy that is coming in and saying, truthfully, yes, this is a moment of like a new beginning, rebirthing, rejuvenating, revitalizing, regenerating energy. But you have to understand how cycles and magic works. Magic and sacred energy. See, because when we get into the magic and the spiritual, soulful side of things, we're starting to look into the spirit, the soul's immortality. Even though in the 3-dimensional world, you don't actually have mortality, but the soul itself does. So we're starting to look into the idea of regenerating these cycles. Are we rejuvenating the same cycle, a new cycle? What's going on? Are we creating new magic? Are we evolving? Are we coming into our sacred energy? Are we having trouble understanding these areas? And what Spirit is saying, because even though there is a lot of new birth, new beginnings, you know, new chapters, like I was saying a couple weeks back, this is the new story, the new design. We are in the new episode, as Spirit was putting it when they were singing Snoop Dogg to me to try to get me to say that. So you are going into a new episode, a new chapter, a new character for some of you. However, a lot of this has to do with really getting right with some of your shadow work, some of your ancestral magic, your ancestral DNA, and shifting and really cleaning up some deep-seated stuff. Because like I said, you have not just Saturn that went direct this past week. You also have Jupiter in a month and a half, which will go retrograde and go back into Pisces. Now, what Spirit is saying is we are starting to identify, and I'm going to say it wrong because every time I try to say this, neurological, it's the part of the nervous system, and how you have the pathways that are in our body and how it identifies with disabilities, not being able to create, shift, and change, and how the pathway is working with our brain. We're starting to find detours so that we can either recreate that same path again, or we're learning to take the detour and go, oh, this is where we keep doing the same thing. But by taking the detour with Jupiter in retrograde, Jupiter in shadow, you're taking a detour on a detour. And what Spirit is saying is this is part of that shadow magic, that shadow healing that helps us to recreate by understanding where these pathways have not done us service and where we are identifying them so that we can shift them. But they're being tweaked more. Like I said, when Venus moved into Taurus, I was going to say she was under scrutiny of making sure we're really starting to identify with this energy more, really getting into the deep-seated understanding of where the denial is a denial on a lie, and where we aren't healing our patterns versus what we really are doing. So we're getting into deeper understanding of where these patterns were created, how, why, and how to actually truly break them. And what Spirit directed me to actually is a song. And I took the chorus out of the song because I want to read it, because the way they explain it is this song can help you understand basic understanding of what shadow work is doing from a understanding that maybe you've never really heard it or viewed it from. And it helps you address the idea of where the disability of not being able to shift or change maybe, so that you can see how to break these patterns a little bit more. So I'm giving you the song, and then I'm going to go into the blueprint. Okay? And I'm not singing the whole song. It's actually a Melissa Etheridge song. It's an old song, and it was called Silent Legacy. But they gave me a specific part and told me this is what I am to read to you to help you understand shadow work a little bit better. Your body is alive, but no one told you what you'd feel. The empty, aching hours trying to conceal the natural progression. It is the coming of your age. But they cover it with shame and turn it into rage. You are digging for the answers until your fingers bleed, to satisfy that hunger and to sedate the need. They feed you on the guilt to keep you humble and to keep you low. Some man, some myth made up 1,000 years ago. Mothers tell their children, be quick, you must be strong. Life is full of wonder and love. It is never wrong. But remember how much they taught you, how much of that was fear. We refuse now to hand that down. That legacy, it stops right here. It's just another way of how they wanted me to address it, so that maybe you all can understand it from a different point of view, because we're really trying to get into sacred soul self and understand the manifestation that you can create, and that nothing can be in your way as soon as you learn how to get out of your way. As soon as you learn to stop having to be in control in a form of where you already never were in control. You were just in denial, fear, anxiety, doubt. When you have to hold on to everything because you're afraid of that money not being there to pay the rent, or to do this or to do that, or you're afraid of this reason or that reason, and what you're actually doing is exactly what that song just said. They feed you on the guilt to keep you humble and to keep you low. Just a myth a man made up 1,000 years ago. You're learning to break this pattern of thinking and start coming back to the true soul self. Now, as we move into the astrology, I'm going to hit the blueprint because I want you all to really understand how much this manifestation and this soul connection, and how much it really is connecting, because I've had a lot of people say this. On a universal scale, when we look at the astrological body, the human body, astrological anatomy, before we start breaking it into the chakras and the houses and all of that good crap, okay? Saturn, being in retrograde now, has a big key of what's going on here. Saturn in astrology is your rules, your walls, your boundaries, your restrictions. But when we look at it as a human body, Saturn would represent your skeleton, anything that's bones. It would also represent your skin. It would represent your nails, your fingernails, your toenails, anything that separates you from the outer world. And with Saturn just going retrograde, skin rashes showing up. Like if you have psoriasis acting worse than usual, or just odd rashes coming out of nowhere, or your bones hurting in certain areas that are just odd. It's not odd. Now, I mean, by all means, if you think you need to see a doctor, please go see one. However, when we're looking at it, your teeth, your jaw, your ears, I mean, all of this, everything is bone. So when you're looking at the areas of what this is and where it is actually addressing your bones, your skin, irritations that are coming up, bones and whatnot, feeling sore. This has a lot to do with Saturn going retrograde. He's tuning in and turning on where you're in denial of healing things. And the biggest part of it is this is taking place in Aquarius. And it happens to be taking place on the bone between the ankle and the knee, which is also throwing off a lot of energy coming from the calves, coming from the ankles, and coming from the knees. Because that's where Saturn is in that bone. That's getting deeper into the actual blueprint right now. So if you're having any pains and odd things going on or whatnot, it's an area for you to address. We also have Lilith. I'm working my way upwards. Hold on. Before I do, Spirit is telling me, understand that most people want to talk about the chakras, but they only want to talk about the mainstream chakras. This pisses me off so bad, because I'm constantly telling everybody, if you're really into the healing, you're really into the working and understanding this, then you have to really start to get in with it. Now, you have to get much deeper than the mainstream 7 chakras. And I'm not even getting into that many. I mean, there's ridiculous how many chakras there are. But the way Spirit tells me is, I want you to look from the feet to the ankles, the feet to the hips, and most of the ones that are overlooked. Because this is where a lot of ego hides and questions you on if it's really your soul or if it's ego. It is a lot of energy within these chakras of selfishness, of not having any shame, of greed and punishment, of prolonged confusion. I'm pulling it up from my other paperwork I have here. Our inner blindness, our inner malice that we don't want to admit that we have, where we push and shove because we're only looking out for number one. Instinctive willfulness, because again, you're only looking out for number one. Jealousy, inferiority, inadequacy, helplessness, confusion, frustration. This is where a lot of these energies reside, which makes us hold on to exactly what I was saying in that song, where we try to satisfy our hunger, to sedate the need, and where we're not actually fully coming full circle. And I want you guys to understand this has a lot to do with, the passion of the ego, where the ego misinforms you, twists it into making you feel like it's soul, but you're not really getting all the way through. The blueprint is also speaking to us right now of the South Node, and productive organs in general might be acting up, because there is a lot going on with the South Node at this time. Feeling like you're having additional issues in the reproductive energies, so to speak. This has also to do with the fact of having faith to believe in your reproduction, revitalizing, regenerating, rebirthing. Even if it's not actually fertility, not actually giving birth, it is still the energy, the womb inside of you, which also kind of works with the gut and the intestines and everything in here, because we also have Lilith, which is sitting on the intestines and the gut's brain, plus the South Node is having a lot of energies that is questioning it on the reproductive energies. Like I said, this is getting into the real womb of understanding, are you manifesting because you're in that high vibrational energy, or are you slightly blinded? You have Mercury, and it's on the trachea again. It's on the back of the neck. You have pretty much Venus, Uranus, Mercury, all in the zeal point, which is getting us into our communication, into our thinking, into our sensitivity, into our inner emotional security. And are we feeling unsafe, so we feel like we have to attack, which then attacks the zeal point and the thymus and the throat and starts redirecting us in a negative way. Also making the throat sore or even blocked, dry mouth, dry throat. You also have Jupiter, which is still on the third eye itself, like I said, and in shadow. You have Mars, which is on the actual brain and the eyes. I cannot say enough times, guys, that zeal point, which is what connects the higher realms or the lower realms, according to what you see. The zeal point works with what you see. Mars is the warrior, viewing the way the brain acts according to what you see around you. If you are only honing in and focusing on anything that's negative right now, you are redirecting in a negative way. And then it's going to start giving you all of its health warnings. That pain in the back of the neck, the pain in the back of the shoulders, that's all part of the zeal point. That's part of the throat. And that supernatural highway of I coulda, shoulda, woulda. What if, maybe, I don't know. That inner struggle. That's all shit you don't want to deal with. That is all stuff that's just designed to keep you feeling low. And you have to tell yourself, this is not a pattern I will do anymore. I was saying something the other night. Matt had a show on, and I was, typing in as the people were talking. And a lot of people, get paranoid with, like I said, money and finances and all of this other stuff. And I'm like, if you are still in your thinking of, well, I have to do this because I got to do it this way and I got to do it this way, you're automatically putting the negative on you. So therefore, you're not going to. You have to know it. You have to believe it. I say all the time, I'm just going to throw it out there, and I know the universe is going to provide. It's not important that I know how it provides. Key. All right, as we get into the actual astrology this week, your moon is going to be moving through Virgo, Scorpio, Libra, and then into Sagittarius, coming to the full moon in Sag at the galactic center. The galactic center, hello people, your emotional indifferences on if you are rising and ascending or not, if you are enlightening or not, if you are seeing things from the higher Starfleet vibration of what you should be in or not. This is more or less not even a test. This is the guardians going, yes, you can go through the door. Plain and simple. It is a portal. But it wasn't just, you saw those memes talking about the portal. No, the portal is going all the way up through this energy. And it's more or less, it is a test asking you if you're ascending into understanding the higher realms, if you're understanding divinity, if you're understanding your sacred self, if you're understanding oneness, and you're being questioned on where you are on your growth. Virgo is anal retentive, going to pick everything apart and need to understand and know everything. Then you have the moon that's going to go into Scorpio, kind of the same deal in a different way. I mean, it'll go into Libra and then it'll go into Scorpio, but it's going to be addressing harmony and balance, or is it going to be addressing where the scales are out? And are you trying to manipulate the scales? The scales outside of you don't exist. The only thing you have to do is create harmony and balance in here. But that's easier said than done, because you have to feel it, you have to believe it, you have to know it. As you're going through the Scorpio of the transformation that leads you to the galactic center and setting the new foundations, working around all of those detours to see where you can create new pathways. You have Mercury, which is going into Gemini on the 13th. And then you have that full moon that's going to take place on the 14th. So those are the things that you're going to see moving, but they're really not moving until next week. I'm just giving you the heads up. Now, you have a T-square. T-squares are obstacles. It's not that it can't be, harmony can't be found. It's just that the energies aren't agreeing at how to get to the same decision. And it's Saturn in the 11th house, universally, not getting along with the South Node in the 8th house. And then those two aren't getting along with anything in Taurus. Not a thing. So you have the outer world, goals, dreams, ambitions, all set according to if you have the, I'm sorry, but if you have the right people, places, and things in your life. The people, your friends, your outer community, are they here to pat you on your back, to show you, you know, I support your goals, dreams, and ambitions. But are they also here to go, all right, honey, this is where you're kind of keep messing up, and I love you enough to show you what I see, but you don't, and then trust your gut feeling. Because the South Node, which is in Scorpio, is saying, I'm really good at not changing. I'm really good at sticking with what makes me feel comfortable right now. I'm really good at blinding myself from the transformation. It makes you want to attach to the things that you were comfortable with even more. But it's not blooming. It's just a returning cycle over and over again. Taking you right back again to the song that I was saying, to satisfy the hunger and to sedate the need. They feed you on that guilt to keep you low. That energy is not getting along with Venus. It is not getting along with Uranus. It is not getting along with Pallas. It is not getting along with the North Node. All in Taurus. your manifestation, your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem, your feeling entitled or knowing you're in your power. Feeling that you are finally coming into the grace that is inside of you. I don't have to fight for my grace. I was born with it. All I have to do is wake up every day and bring back the power of me. And you know what? I'll glow. I'm able to be my self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Believing in yourself. Thinking things clearly. Bringing back your inner peace. If your people, places, and things are taking from your inner peace right now, they're wrong for you. It's all wrong for you. Because this is how you're manifesting. It's called law of attraction. And if you're not standing in your power, you're not feeling good about yourself, you're not coming back into doing it from a way that feels sacred and already part of your sovereign self. But you have to beg, steal, manipulate, borrow, threaten, push and shove to get. None of that's going to work. This is showing you a better way of standing firm, standing tall, not being moved, and still being in your power by being you. And understanding where the parts of you are afraid of you. Coming into your independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, learning how to speak with authority, but without vindictive immaturity because you felt caged or pushed against the wall. Strategic thinking, Pallas, Athena the warrior goddess, Uranus, your independence, Venus, your sensitivity. This is all about loving yourself and making sure that you are directing it in a way that is spiritually mature so that you can look back at yourself and be pleased with that. You also have Saturn, again, which is in retrograde. It's not getting along with Mercury. It's questioning your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Because Mercury's still in Taurus. It won't move out until the end of the week. So it's questioning that self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. It's questioning the possession of having the possession of you. Or do you need somebody else to direct you? Can you believe in yourself? Saturn is saying the rules, walls, and boundaries are there for you to set, but only if you believe in you. Jupiter and the Aries coming into your character, has Chiron here also, coming into how you identify yourself within the world and the world around you, how you identify all of this, illuminating whether it's positive or negative first off, how you're viewing the world and yourself. And then it's not getting along with Lilith in your 4th house of Cancer, inner emotional security. Do you feel good in your own skin? There you go. Saturn, bones, skin, nails, retrograde. Do you feel good in your own skin? It's all part of the questioning of how this is all comes together as to one. Then you have the Sun, which is in Gemini, your inner Jekyll and Hyde, your inner communication, your inner up close and personal in your life, is not getting along with Neptune, your inner secrets, your inner denial. And let me warn you, people, I already was warned today to start paying attention because the guardians are standing behind the deities, is the way I'm being given it, and they're very much guarding the energies, because I am always reminded in astrology, start paying attention to the guardians of the pole, because they're already coming out forcefully with their energy this year. And I'm already being told to start paying attention from now until the Lion's Gate in August 8/8. Because they're going to have lots to say. So the guardians are already observing. Not that you can fail, but have you ascended? Have you truly grown? You have sextiles. These are good. Sextiles is Pluto is getting along great with Neptune. The outer world and your inner magic, to the chance to believe, to create, to blow life into something new. It's there. Neptune is fantasy versus reality. You can bring the fantasy into reality. But what kind of fantasy are you breathing into reality? Pluto is death, decay, and destruction for renewal, rebirth, regeneration. It is exactly what the deities and what everything was telling me this week. Rejuvenation, rebirth, revitalization. Helping us to start anew. Start a new course. A new episode. Changing these pathways. If you're able to come into your magic, the manifestation's coming quick, but you have to believe in it. Sextiles mean it's easier to believe in it, but you also get lazy about it and can do it later. No, you may not be able to. This is the time. You have Lilith in that 4th house getting along with Venus. Lilith in the 4th house has a little bit of a problem here, though. Because Lilith in the 4th house usually is good about helping us stand in our fire, stand in our passion, a little bit of ego, and helping us to see a little bit straight here. But in the 4th house of Cancer, she's a little bit submissive. Now I'm speaking to your sensitivities. This is saying it's not the time to give in. It's not the time to be submissive. But it is the time to be humble and fair. Make sure that you're identifying the truth here. Is it a war that you even want to fight? Is it a waste of your time? Will it lower your time? Will it lower your vibration? Because nobody can take the home away from you. Nobody can take the soul away from you. It's getting back into that immortality of the soul, and that the glowing fact of your soul self can never, never be destroyed if you believe in it. Not necessarily on a 3-dimensional world is it always going to be here, but it can't be taken away from you. If you believe in the magic of it, you can create a new inner security right now. Chiron is getting along great with the Sun. Chiron's the wounded healer, addressing your identity flaws, your character flaws, where you're having problems overcoming shadow work. If you're willing to see the illumination coming from your lack of communication with yourself on a truthful level, instead of pointing it outwardly and seeing it in others. That's why they call it mirroring. A lot of times people look outwardly and they see all the things that they're bad at, and they're bitching about it about someone else, because it's a mirror being reflected back to where you haven't grown. It's not always the case, but it is often the case. So is the mirror effect speaking to you now? Are you allowing you to go, whoa, I didn't know that I still do that. Wow. Okay, let me address this. Let me start healing myself. It's not about beating up on yourself or putting yourself down. It's about realizing where you've been lacking so that you can bring that back into your power. Strengthen yourself and maturely grow. You have also that Pluto and that Neptune. Being able to breathe magic into it, it is all loving that Taurus energy. If you can believe in yourself, you're going to come into the highest level of self-worth, self-security, self-belief. It's independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, manifestation, law of attraction. I tell people all the time, if you feel good about you, then you manifest things to feel even more good about you about. But when all you're throwing out there is, bitching and moaning that, I'm fat or I'm this, you know how much toxic communication we speak to ourselves? No, we have to break these patterns. When you are in those points of doing good, doing good, doing good, doing good, all of a sudden the anxiety hits and it knocks you down. It's like they say, 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. That's when it's the hardest, because you've got to turn that stuff around super fast and get back in your power, get back in your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. I tell people all the time, if you have to, journal it daily. Journal it daily. Why you're worthy, why you're valuable, until you start actually believing it, knowing it, feeling it, accepting it. Communicating with yourself is the easiest way to create magic. But you can't create the manifestation and the higher vibration when you're still clouded in all of the negativity. Let them have that negativity. You have trines also this week, which are very good. Neptune is getting along with the South Node. The South Node is there showing you your magic about where you're in the 12th house, lying to yourself. It's just, will you see it? Because Neptune has the ability to shift that. Neptune is the magic of the spirit. The 12th house universally is the house of the most needed of healing. It is where we hold on to our grief, our sorrow, our shame, our blame, our insecurity. Where we hold on to the need, the hunger, the doubt that keeps us low. If you will address it, see it, acknowledge it, and then actually act on it, not in the way of readdressing the need to continue, but to go, ooh, I got to change my pathway here. There's something, a habit I got to break. You're coming into that power of believing in yourself. I know that it'll be provided. I don't have to worry about that. All of them out there can have that crap. You have Mercury with Pluto. Mercury's still in shadow, guys, from retrograde. Stop picking on yourself. Stop it. Refuse to hand it down anymore. That legacy, it stops right here. I love you guys. I will see you next week, right before the full moon. Bye.